Hey there, My Hero Academia enthusiasts. Ever wondered what would happen if Deku followed his heart instead of his head? Join me as we explore this exciting concept in What If Deku's Heart Led the Way? Part 1. Let's dive in. Today marks 20 years since the hero Slayer sacrificed himself. He died defeating Shimura Tenko aka Shigaraki Tomura. The woman turned off the TV and sighed. A tear rolled down her cheek as memories flooded her mind. She remembered her happy childhood with her parents, her teenage years when she entered UA, and became a student of Aizawa Shota. She recalled meeting and bonding with Midoriya Izuku, whom her peers shunned for his kosei, Hachiman gift, saying it was the kosei of a villain. She reminisced about how she became friends with Midoriya Izuku, sharing common interests. They found they complemented each other well as a combat team. During hero work studies, her future boyfriend advised her to seek out Present Mike since their koseis were related to sound. They were together during the trial of courage at the Wild Wild Pussy Cats training camp. They saved Katsuki when he was caught in the crossfire between All Might and All for One. During the final exam, if not for Izuku's distraction and formidable combat against their teacher All Might, they wouldn't have won. Their life together was wonderful, and by their third year, he proposed. Although they wanted to marry after graduation, their passion led to the conception of their daughter. Izuku died halfway through the year, delivering the final blow to Shigaraki Tomura, who, despite being almost dead, took Izuku's life. A month later, she discovered she was pregnant. Midoriya Hikari. A beautiful girl with violet, hers, and green, Izuku's, hair, heterochromatic eyes, one green, one black. Hikari, now 16 and in her first year at UA, was training as a support hero with her friend creative/Yaoyorozu Momo. Her daughter with her Izuku. Hikari was the driving force in her life after losing her beloved. But every year got harder. She wished to die. To die and beg the gods to reunite her with her beloved Izuku. But she had to force herself to live. She had to live for her daughter. If I could go back, she whispered, as memories of Izuku flooded her. So much I would correct. Kyoka lived many more years. She lived to meet her grandson, named Izuku by Hikari in honor of her late father, though he was 2 and wouldn't remember his grandmother, who passed away smiling in her bed. Kyoka had been waiting for that. She patiently awaited her natural death to reunite with her beloved. When her eyes opened, and she tried to breathe, she felt like she was underwater, surrounded by a strange liquid substance, gelatinous in consistency, unable to breathe. She swam as fast as she could to the surface, where a hand grabbed hers, pulling her from those strange gelatinous waters. "Welcome to paradise, my sound princess," a voice she instantly recognized said. She opened her eyes and saw him before her. "Izuku," she exclaimed happily, throwing herself into his arms. Everything turned white. And the next thing Kyoka could remember was a voice telling her, "Fight for a new life with your soulmate." She woke up in what used to be her home, in her bed, no more than 4 years old. What had happened? How was this possible, if she had died of natural causes? Was life giving her a second chance to be with her Izuku? "Thank you for saving me," said the girl with violet hair and gray eyes, standing up and smiling at Izuku. "You're welcome," said the boy with green hair and eyes, blushing. "Hey, wanna play?" she asked. He nodded, and they went to the swings. "I'm Kyoka, by the way." "I'm Izuku." Kyoka told him about her kosei, earphone jack. Izuku, with a melancholic look no 5-year-old should have, grabbed a stone and started playing with it. I don't know if I have a kosei. Or if I'm a mukasei instead. I don't know. My mom's been really busy with work lately, so. Izuku. Kyoka interrupted him, and it was fortunate he let go, allowing a knife to pass cleanly, embedding itself in the ground. Where did that come from? Izuku wondered, looking at the blade. "I still don't understand," said Kyoka, her heart racing. Kyoka picked it up and placed it in Izuku's hand by the handle. "Imagine. A shuriken." Her new friend, and future husband, looked at her curiously. "The knife appeared in your hand, but before that, it was a stone, right? Did you think of a knife?" "I like ninja and samurai stuff," he said. "When I found out I didn't have a kosei, my mom let me train in martial arts, hoping it would give me a new light for my eyes," he said, recalling his mother's words. Izuku and Kyoka practiced first with rocks, then with small pieces of tree bark, Izuku creating close combat weapons, whether metal or wood. Izuku offered to train his new friend so she wouldn't rely solely on her kosei, and Kyoka accepted. In the previous timeline, Kyoka knew All Might's secret and gave her boyfriend one for all. She was aware of the intense training the blonde and the green-haired had undergone. She herself started training with Izuku when the academy gave A1 class students rooms. So Kyoka trained her boyfriend to become athletes, and with that in mind, they wore out their mothers until they convinced them to let them join a gym. They began extensive training, which took almost 10 years to complete, giving them the physique of an Olympic athlete, or perhaps less. Kyoka entered Orudera High School with Izuku and convinced him to follow their dreams without looking back. They pursued their dreams of becoming heroes regardless of what others said, as many classmates believed Izuku could only become a villain due to his kosei. Kyoka and Izuku did all sorts of exercises, remembering they were still civilians, still students in school, and had to give their all to be someone in the future, whether they became heroes again or not. Balance, improving strength, endurance, and speed, hand-to-hand combat or with weapons, concealment, infiltration, they did all sorts of things that many adults considered crazy stuff. Something that made her smile was when she noticed that her beloved remained an observer. She saw him writing in a notebook the names of heroes or villains, their physical appearances and koseis, their possible strengths and weaknesses. "I'm glad you didn't change, my love," Kyoka thought as she watched him. "I won't let you die again. Nor will I allow All for One to come near you again. You won't die again." Izuku and Kyoka were great friends for many years, sharing the dream of becoming heroes. They kept each other company on the way to UA on the day of the application. They walked together, chatting like the great friends they were. They arrived at the amphitheater where Present Mike would explain what they had to do, despite a very poorly received attempt to cheer them up. "If he wasn't a hero, I'd think he was a last-minute replacement entertainer because the professional entertainer couldn't make it," whispered Izuku, making Kyoka cover her mouth to stifle her laughter. "Welcome to my show today. Everyone say hey," requested Present Mike, but there was only silence. "Tough crowd," he snapped his fingers, and behind him, on the screen, appeared several 8-bit style images. "The robots you have to destroy, or deactivate, will have painted numbers. You should destroy as many of them as possible to progress. Any non-heroic action will require you to leave immediately." Everyone went to their respective places. When the doors opened, Izuku and Kyoka were the first to rush out, leaving the others confused. "Hey, they haven't given," began a boy with dark blue hair, glasses, and a blue suit. "What are you waiting for?" asked Present Mike from a tower. "In a real fight, there's no countdown. Go now." Everyone ran out, finding several robots already destroyed from a certain point. They saw Izuku throwing knives from his bags, piercing the robots and making them explode. Kyoka connected her jacks to the robots and used her sound waves to destroy them. Izuku threw a spear as a laser destroyed a robot from a point. "Do we make a good team?" began the boy with a French accent, only for a huge explosion to be heard. Izuku's spear pierced 2 2-point robots, 1 3-point, and 1 2-point. 9 points, he said to himself before pulling something else from his bags. A laser beam passed by, destroying 2 2-point robots. Izuku continued his path and pulled out a grappling hook gun, climbing a building, with Kyoka clinging to him. They descended into an apparently clear area. "Look out," yelled a female voice. Both ducked in time as the heads of a 2-point robot and 2 3-point robots were melted by acid. It was a girl with soft pink hair, pink-toned skin, black sclera, and yellow irises. "Sorry about that, nearly hurt you with my acid." "Don't worry, it's okay," said Kyoka, throwing her jacks forward, scaring the girl, but they passed her, and she used her sound waves to destroy 2 robots. "My fault. I'm Kyoka." "I'm Mina," said the acid girl, throwing her kosei at a 3-point robot. A loud noise was heard, Izuku now with a hammer, smashing a 2-point robot. "He's my friend, Midoriya Izuku." A knife passed by both girls, embedding itself in a robot, deactivating it. "Move, girls," warned Izuku, as he reached into his bag and pulled out a trident, which he threw, piercing a point robot, and when it exploded, its parts not only flew but also pierced other robots, destroying them in a chain. In a dark room, all the teachers were in front of cameras, watching how the future students faced this situation. "Sometimes it's more important to gather information before going against enemies," said one of the teachers, watching a silver-haired boy with a mask and 6 arms, which took the form of eyes and ears. "The mobility that can be used in different circumstances," said the principal, watching the boy with glasses. The principal was a fusion of a rat and a bear, bipedal and in a tuxedo. Or raw power, said the hero in Teacher All Might, watching a blonde-haired, red-eyed boy who could cause explosions with his hands. Everything started shaking. A couple of buildings moved aside, and a giant robot appeared, making everyone run away. A scream alerted some. It was a brown-haired girl who had tripped and broken her ankle because of a piece of robot. "Kyo-chan," Izuku pleaded. "Understood," she said, connecting her jacks to her wrists and extending her palms forward. "I was 17 when I first tried this. And never used it again." She thought, then swallowed, knowing the sensation she would soon feel in her arms wouldn't be pleasant, but she didn't want to see her boyfriend and a great friend like Ochako die. Sonic chaos. A high frequency was heard, the ground began to shake, and soon, a tornado began to form, with debris and metal pieces, spinning faster and faster. Rotary sonic drill. The tornado spun at high speeds and hit the robot, piercing it from side to side, deactivating it. "It destroyed the 0 points," someone exclaimed in surprise. "It's unbelievable, what kind of kosei does it have?" Someone else asked. "Are you okay?" 2 people asked. Izuku to his new and unknown friend. And recovery girl to Kyoka. "Thanks for saving me," said the brunette. "You're welcome," said the green-haired boy as they approached the nurse, who kissed the girl's ankle, healing her and then proceeding to heal others. A week later, Izuku, Kyoka, and Ochako were admitted to UA. When the acceptance letters from UA arrived, students had to send their hero costumes beforehand, which would be tailored by a UA-affiliated company. Izuku arrived at UA and began searching for his classroom, making a coin dance between his fingers. The acceptance rate for UA is 1 in 300 students per year, and I, Midoriya Izuku, am in Class A1. Class A1, he murmured, trying to keep calm, one of the many lessons from his father when he was younger: never lose your cool, not even when all seems lost. "Is this it?" he said, seeing the large door, pushed it aside, and upon entering, saw his childhood friend Katsuki and the boy with blue hair and glasses arguing. "Don't put your feet on the table," the blue-haired boy with glasses asked Katsuki. "Don't you find it rude, to the older students who have used the desk before?" "No. I don't see it that way," admitted the red-eyed blonde. "Which school did you attend?" "You're too uptight, too worried about what others think." "I'm Tenya Ida, I attended Same School," he said. Izuku walked to a desk by the window and found a card with a candy. Curious, he looked inside. "Thank you for saving me, for giving me hope and making me pursue my dream of becoming a heroine. You don't know me yet, but I hope to catch your attention soon, and that we get to know each other better." Along with the letter, there was a drawing of a violet musical note. He glanced at his still unknown classmates and noticed a girl with violet hair and jack connectors staring at him, blushing and looking away. "Welcome to UA Hero Course, my name is Shota Aizawa, I am your homeroom teacher," said a male voice, drawing everyone's attention. He was a man with long, unkempt hair, wearing a black long-sleeved shirt, pants of the same color, and gray bandages around his neck. He searched inside his sleeping bag. "I know this is unexpected, but I need you to put these on." He took out some gym uniforms from inside. "I'll see you downstairs on the field, quickly." Once changed, they all found him where he asked. "We will perform several tests, I hope you can mentally prepare yourselves." "But what about the welcome speech?" asked a brown-haired girl with eyes of the same color. "Or the?" "Each teacher chooses how to conduct this class, and for my part, I consider that a waste of time," said Aizawa. "You've been doing this since you were little," the man threw a ball to Katsuki. "Softball?" asked the blonde, interested. "Exactly," said the man, with a bored voice. "Please stand in the circle, you can do whatever you want inside it, and remember that using your quirk is most important." "In that case, shine." The ball flew out and landed quite far away. "Know your limits first," said Aizawa, before indicating the distance of the throw. 750.2 meters, not bad. "This seems fun," said Mina Ashido, who was closer to Izuku, making him laugh. "We can use our quirks, yes," said Ochako, dancing beside Izuku. "Mina. Ochako. What do you think you're doing, talking to my husband?" asked a furious Kyoka, looking at the 2 girls with a dark expression. "Get them away before they snatch Izuku for themselves," said a sinister voice in some corner of her mind. "You have 3 years to become heroes, do you think you can maintain this excitement until then?" asked Aizawa. "Whoever is last will be expelled." That terrified everyone. "Expelled on the first day?" Ochako asked. "Even if it wasn't the first day, it wouldn't be fair." Disasters of all kinds, ordinary villains, fatal accidents, or terrorist attacks, Aizawa listed. UA ensures that you give your best, reach your limits, and either break through or surpass that same wall. You will be heroes in the future, understand that? Everyone had to nod. Let's continue then. Ochako, who seemed worried, ended up being more than outstanding in 2 of the tests. She removed gravity from the ball, scoring infinity. And in the 50-meter race, she removed the weight from her skeleton and achieved a speed mark of 125. Izuku relied on his rigorous training, scoring quite high in the 50-meter race. The same with Kyoka, who started training physically as soon as she regained consciousness in her current body. She wasn't an Olympic medalist, but she was close. The one who stood out the most in the long jump was a girl with frog-like features named Tsuyu Asui. Then, in second place in the long jump, was Katsuki. Finally, it was Izuku's turn to throw the ball. With time and intense practice of the gift of the forge, Izuku's quirk that allowed him to create weapons, and the use of his quirk, which consisted of giving the ball the characteristics and properties of a spear, he held his hand back, his hand emitted a scarlet glow before throwing the ball. 680.5 meters, said Aizawa, showing the chart, horrifying a boy whose hair was violet spheres, as he was the last and would be expelled. By the way, the expulsion was a lie. Go to your classrooms, and welcome to the UA Hero course. Thank you for today's class, Aizawa-sensei. They all said. You did wonderfully well, Izuku-kun, she thought she might have thought it, but said it out loud. Her husband from another time smiled at her. Thank you very much, Kyoka-san, said the green-haired boy. Let's go to class. Hi, she said, after choking on her words, following him and hopping beside him. The others looked at them as if they were crazy. On Friday, Kyoko would check, for her own pleasure and doubt, when things had changed, just because someone from the future, her, was now in the past. The UA wasn't just a school where they had combat drills against robots. It was officially a higher education academy, so every hero eager to teach there had to realize they might not always teach heroics. Present Mike taught English. Does anyone know which phrase is incorrect? Asked Present Mike. Seems normal, several thought. The relative pronoun is used incorrectly in number 4, said Kyoka. Well done, Yaoyorozu-san, said Present Mike. After English class, they went to the cafeteria. Kyoka sat with Izuku, having a normal conversation. Things seemed unchanged. She asked simple questions, his tastes seemed the same. Perfect, she had him where she wanted. Midoriya-san. Kyoka shouted, startling him. Are you okay? What are you staring at? Turning, he saw a voluptuous third-year girl, which made his blood boil. He turned with a grimace, scaring poor Midoriya. What are you staring at that milk cow for? She growled in a whisper, scaring him. Finish your lunch, we need to get back to class, for our first. Basic hero training, said Izuku. Are you okay, Jiro-san? I'm fine, calm down, said the purple-haired girl, trying to regain composure. Hurry. Yes, he said. They returned to the classroom. They waited a minute, nearly 2. Hearing that voice surprised everyone. They turned to where Midoriya sat. A large, strong hand gripped his shoulder, preventing him from flying out of fright. Entering through the window, because the door won't open. All Might, everyone exclaimed excitedly as he entered and approached the table. Incredible, he's really going to be our teacher, said Eijiro. Isn't that his Silver Age costume? Asked Tsuyu, looking at the red and blue suit. His style is cool, said Mashirao. Firstly, this class won't be taught just by me, that's the first thing you need to know, said All Might. Secondly, this is one of the most common classes, as you'll realize now. Everyone nodded. And, in this first class, we'll have. He pulled out a white card with a word in English and red letters. Combat training. And for that, you have these. He pressed a button and a wall revealed 3 shelves with briefcases. Your suits, based on your quirk registrations and requests sent before school started. After changing, head to the Alpha Training Zone. Yes, sir. They all said. After several minutes, All Might saw the A1 class students arrive through the tunnel. Look at yourselves, said the smiling hero. Now, you are officially heroes. Shall we begin, youngsters? Sorry for the delay, sensei, said Izuku, appearing. He wore green pants, a long-sleeved shirt, a trench coat over his shoulders, and had bags on the sides, held by a strap. I had forgotten how sexy you looked in your Ripper suit, my love. thought Kyoka, eyeing him and drooling. Do you like it that much, Midoriya? Asked Yaoyorozu, who had a hand on Kyoka's chin, shutting her mouth to stop her from drooling. Kyoka blushed. It's cute, she whispered, blushing. And that party in Hero Pseudosuit suits you very well. Well, we can start, said All Might, smiling. Sensei, will we have urban combat? Asked Tenya. No. We'll be 2 steps ahead, declared All Might. At first glance, it might seem like villains appear in open places, but if you look at the statistics, you'll find that almost 70% or even 75% of hero-villain battles occur in enclosed spaces. Secret dealings, extortions, incarcerations, home arrests, behind-the-scenes deals of all kinds, or suicidal terrorist acts. In this hero-filled country, truly audacious and wicked villains lurk in the shadows. The hero stepped aside, showing. A lottery wheel? They all asked. By grabbing your briefcases, you all saw they had a number, right? Said All Might, and they all nodded. This will be partner combat. And it will be chosen at random because heroes don't always know who they'll have to work with. No prior training? Asked the future Mrs. Fumikage. I mean, Tsuyu. It's best to follow your instincts, said All Might. In our next class, I'll teach you some physical training and combat, I promise. Now, you won't be facing robots. How will the winner be determined? Asked a black-haired girl with a ponytail and a red suit named Yaoyorozu Momo. Can we blow them away? Asked Katsuki. This one never changes, thought Kyoka. Will there be expulsion punishment, like with Aizawa-sensei? Asked Ochako. The villains have hidden a bomb somewhere in the building, said All Might, reading from some papers. You'll have a time limit, heroes win if they manage to find a way to arrest the villains, and villains win if the heroes don't touch the bomb within the time limit, keeping them away, or they can also capture them. Quite Americanize the matter, several thought, sweat dripping down their necks. Team A, Izuku and Kyoka, villains, versus Team C, Tokoyami versus Tsuyu, heroes. The villains went to find the bomb and made a plan to stop their teammates. The heroes did the same. Izuku placed piano strings in various places in the building, especially the hallways, where their teammates would pass, and set up pellet launchers, wooden and metal, and blades suspended by some piano strings, high up. Kyoka made sure to detect their movements. Tokoyami-kun, what if we try to ambush them? Tsuyu asked. Logic says Midoriya-chan and Jiro-chan wouldn't place the bomb on the first floor. So, seeing that we'll have headphones, how about I climb outside the building, trying to surprise them, while you go floor by floor? Your plan is brilliant, Asui-san, said Tokoyami. Please, call me Tsuyu-chan, she requested, making the bird-like boy blush. In a city dock, the body of Musashi Hikari, a third-year UA student, was found. The cause of death was by hanging, with something thin and elongated. A rope, apparently. Tokoyami entered first. Prepare to emerge, Dark Shadow, he warned. With just snapping a thin thread, the crow boy heard a metallic sound. Turrets? He incredulously asked. Indeed, they were turrets, which started shooting pellets. They were quite rudimentary, mounted on discs allowing them to rotate and fire, carrying only 6 pellets. Dark Shadow emerged from the bird boy's body, starting to deflect or catch the pellets while circling around its owner to deflect the shots. This was too much. Dark Shadow threw the pellets from Tokoyami's back, making him turn around and face Izuku, who shielded himself. Well, this is interesting, said the green-haired boy. Thanks, said the one in the black cape. A symbiotic quirk with a mind of its own, said Izuku, looking at the shadowy creature and the bird boy. Shall we continue, hero? The bomb will explode, releasing a legion of micro-bombs throughout the city that even all of you won't be able to stop. Chaos will take over the city. Tokoyami hesitated for a moment, not knowing what to think until it became clear that his new partner was trying to get into character, so he would do the same. If you do that, you'll die too, won't you? Do you think I care about dying? Izuku asked, exaggerating a bit before pulling out darts from the bags he carried and throwing them at Tokoyami, but once again, he was protected by his companion. Izuku lunged at the bird boy, who tried to keep his distance while the symbiotic quirk deflected darts and metal marbles. Dark Shadow swiped, forcing Izuku to retreat. Tsuyu-chan, how are you holding up? Not very well, said the green-haired girl. Izuku-kun, we've got this in the bag, said the violet-haired girl. What did you do, Kyoka-san? Asked curiously. I used a sound frequency to make Tsuyu-chan feel sleepy. It wasn't easy, she explained. Memory. Kyoko was looking towards the door, waiting to see her enemy appear, but the girl entered through a window. She quickly turned and connected only one of her earlobes to her elbow, then began a fight against the frog girl, who was surprised that her classmate caught her off guard. "How did you know I was behind you, Kyoka-chan?" asked the curious green-haired girl. Kyoka smiled. "My parents taught me to emit weak sound waves when I was in a room. The sound waves travel through the air until they hit a wall and return to the sender. But the same goes for this papier-mâché bomb," she said, approaching her. "I release many sound waves to travel around the room, but they always return to me faster. The ones that hit the bomb, when you entered, the sound waves were absorbed by your body and returned to me," she explained with an evil smile to her friend. "Especially the sound of your heart." At that moment, the girl connected her other earlobe to her elbow and began to emit a sound frequency from the amplifiers she naturally had in her arms before jumping into action, starting a hand-to-hand combat. The longer Kyoka managed to extend the fight with Tsuyu, always preventing her from using her noxious mucus, dodging her tongue, and resisting the powerful kicks from the frog girl, and the more sound waves below a certain decibel level Kyoka released while continuing the hand-to-hand combat. When she thought she would prolong it, Tsuyu started kicking more gently, blinking more frequently, and started to feel drowsy. Kyoka, while not wasting it, also didn't take advantage of it, she just made sure to keep the sonic attacks at that rhythm. Finally, the frog girl fell asleep. End of memory. Izuku attacked his partner with a pair of katanas. What his rival didn't know was that they were actually sakabeto, blunt swords, like Kenshin's. Dark Shadow went towards him. Blocking the Shadow Stand's attack and counterattacking, Izuku kicked when Tokoyami tried to approach. He ducked and launched a sweeping kick, making him fall to the ground and placing a katana against his neck, forcing him to surrender. "The villains win," said All Might. "It wasn't easy," said Izuku, as the weapons disintegrated into paper shreds or something similar, helping his classmate up. "You seem out of breath," Tokoyami pointed out, concerned. "Keeping the pellet-shooting weapons in place wasn't easy," explained the green-haired boy, who sighed more relieved now. Other battles came and went. One of the fastest was when Todoroki Shoto froze Ojiro and Hagakure's feet, then ascended to the bomb, touched it, and unfroze everything. "I was watching the combat training recordings, and one pair has amazed me," said the smiling teacher. "Midoriya and Jiro, both are simply amazing, how they managed to keep their enemies at bay, with medium and long-range attacks. I'm sorry to say it until now, but you." "Another special test?" everyone wondered. "Today you need to choose the president and vice president of the class," Aizawa said. "It's just a normal school activity," everyone complained. In the end, Izuku and Kyoka were chosen, he as president and she as vice president, based on their teamwork, which they demonstrated twice, in the entrance exam and in combat practice. During lunch, reporters who had heard that All Might was teaching at UA were asking to speak with him. The reporters entered UA, and the intruder alarm sounded, but when Kyoka and Izuku realized what was happening, they both controlled the situation, showing everyone once again why they were the president and vice president of Class A1 at UA. That same afternoon, another announcement was made. "We will have a special class, which will be taught by All Might, another instructor, and me. You can choose to wear your hero costumes or your physical education uniforms, as the latter may limit your movements. Anyway, decide quickly, and we'll see you at the north gate." "Sensei, excuse me," quickly said a boy whose right half of the hair was white and the left half red, launching a question. "What will this class be about?" The man pulled out a card that said rescue in blue letters. "Disasters, accidents, and anything else you can think of. Rescue training, based on disasters, so hurry up, and gather at the bus you'll find at the gate." "Yes," everyone said. Aizawa saw that everyone was wearing their hero costumes, he could only sigh. Sometimes the costumes were a bad idea, sometimes they had gadgets that could be harmful when acting as rescuers. He hoped they understood when it was a good idea to wear the costume and when the physical education uniform. Also, he had noticed something, the strange crush that Jiro seemed to have on Midoriya. It seemed they didn't know each other at all, but the girl would sigh when looking at him, as if there was nothing more important in the universe than him. He shook his head. Sometimes having a crush wasn't bad, as it happened with his friend Miss Joke, but Jiro seemed different. Maybe All Might could help Midoriya, as he knew what it was like to have a girl on top. A stalker, a yandere. He decided to study Jiro closely. Memory. Always remember, Aizawa-kun, there are levels in yandere. Rank A, they won't approach you, Just seeing you will be enough for them to feel fulfilled, and they may almost have a heart attack if you come close. They'll be jealous of any girls near you, but won't harm them. Rank B, they'll stalk you. They might enter your house and steal some of your things. They'll feel intense jealousy of any girls near you, and will try to make you notice they exist. Rank C, they might approach you to talk, or just stare at you. They'll know almost everything about you, and they might have already committed their first murder. Rank D, they're capable of absolutely everything just to know you're there. Rank E, they openly stalk you. They follow you everywhere. They know everything about you. If they confess, the last thing you'd want to do is reject them. End of memory. I must help Midoriya. Advise him, and warn him about where he is now, Aizawa thought. For now, Jiro accepted that Izuku talked with Tsuyu and Mina, or maybe it was because Eijiro, Tenya, and Tokoyami were also in the conversation, talking about their quirks. Alright, we're almost there, everyone get ready to disembark. Yes. A few minutes later, they were in front of a hero who had a helmet and a suit that looked like the mascot of the Michelin Automotive Company. It was 13. Alright, let's go inside, youngsters. It's a pleasure working with you, everyone said as they entered. It wasn't Kyoka's first time attending, but it was always wonderful to see the USJ. It was a disaster-based rescue site with simulated fires, collapses, hailstorms, shipwrecks, and much more. This is the ultimate training point for disaster rescue simulation, said 13. At USJ, before we begin, I want you all to remember something. Your quirks are not meant to harm others. You need to learn how to turn different situations around, how to use your abilities to save others, and that's what we'll explore today. With Aizawa-san, you discovered what your hidden powers were capable of. With All Might, you learned the danger of using your powers against others. But your powers aren't for harming others, but to assist them. The lights dimmed, the power flickered, and a purple and black portal appeared. They've arrived, thought Kyoka. Darn it, I need to get closer to them and away from my classmates, or I could hurt them with sound sickness. From the portal emerged a gray-haired figure with a hand on his face, wearing a long-sleeved black shirt and several hands attached to his body, one on his face. A large, strong monster, with purple skin and a chicken head appeared, followed by other criminals. Is it like the entrance exam, where the lesson starts right away? Asked Eijiro. Kyoka, what are you doing? Asked Izuku, alarmed, as his friend silently approached him and reached into one of the pouches tied to her waist. I'm looking for a couple of knives to defend myself, or something like that, she said. Your quirk allows you to create any weapon, right? As long as they're not too complex or large, he clarified in a whisper. Then lend me a couple of steel fists and some hunting knives, requested the violet-haired girl, and the green-haired boy nodded, and she withdrew them. Izuku pulled out a wakizashi and a morning star, a mace with nails or spikes. Don't move, ordered Aizawa. These are real villains. Tresse and eraser head, huh? Murmured the gray-haired, hand-fetishist villain. The program said All Might would be here. Sensei, what about the anti-intruder sensors? Asked Yaoyorozu Momo, while generating a bow staff. We have them, but 13 didn't finish. Something is interfering with communication, said Denki. Tenya-san, you have to go, ordered Izuku. You have to make it to the academy and alert them of what's happening here. This was prepared, said Shoto. Have they only appeared here, or also around the campus? It looks bad, said Izuku before leaping. Midoriya, shouted Aizawa. Izuku swung his morning star, killing one of the villains by hitting him directly in the head. He crouched and struck another in the chest, and thrust the wakizashi into one of their ribs. Kyoka launched herself into the attack with the steel fists. She's very skilled in hand-to-hand combat, and it doesn't seem to be her first time doing something like this, thought Aizawa as he put on his goggles. Oh well, we'll have to fight if we want to survive. Behind you, yelled Katsuki as he pulled his ring, causing an explosion, sending the mist man, dressed as barman, flying. Glasses kid, you have to go, you're the fastest. Understood, said Tenya. Recipro burst. He ran toward the exit without being stopped. I won't let broccoli legs and earphone girl have all the fun, shouted Katsuki, jumping into the battlefield. Shine. Several villains were sent flying by the explosion. Izuku had his wakizashi taken away, so he used the morning star to fend off some, while a cold wind blew and froze several of them. He threw the morning star in any direction, hoping to hit a villain, before pulling out a bow that he had to assemble, but he managed it in a few moments, starting to generate arrows to finish off the enemies. Eraser Head launched into the attack, tying up a couple of villains and making them crash into each other, or he nullified a quirk and struck that particular villain. When their sensei was about to be attacked from a blind spot, Mineta threw some of his hair spheres to the ground, and when the villain stepped on them, they stuck to each other, allowing several others, like Tsuyu, Mina, and Eijiro, to use their quirks against them. Strong kicks in Tsuyu's case, acid in Mina's case, and hardened skin fists in Eijiro's case. When the misty barman-like figure tried to surround them, Izuku threw knives. Some managed to injure him, others pierced him without hurting him. Likewise, sound wasn't easily blockable, and it was something Kyoka used, managing to drive the mist villain back, but still, some were displaced to other points. Denki and Momo were caught in the landslide zone. The dark-haired girl created gloves that would release a higher amount of electricity, while at the same time, Momo was generating an anti-electricity blanket, but it was challenging, or rather, time-consuming. Thanks to the gloves, Denki electrocuted and incapacitated their enemies or kept them at bay, while Momo fought with a bow staff, and both managed to hold up quite well. The villains' feet were frozen. It was Todoroki Shoto who came to their classmates' aid. "Quick, come to me, Todoroki-san," Momo said. The red and white-haired boy was covered, along with his classmate, by a blanket. Outside, Denki electrocuted all the criminals surrounding them, but he ended up, literally, dumbstruck. "Let's get out of here before things get worse," Shoto said as they dragged Denki along. Mineta threw his sticky hair spheres into the water. They made an almost perfect escape when Tsuyu jumped with him. Endeavor's son arrived and caused a fake wave with a large ice plate, causing the villains to get stuck to the spheres and each other. Denki would electrocute them, rendering them unconscious. "Nomu, finish off the trench-coated brat," growled the man with hands all over his body. The monster roared as it charged towards Izuku, who began evading it, intending to be pursued, towards the fake city area. Once there, Izuku would utilize the buildings, creating piano strings and then crafting knives, hanging them from the strings to have them fall onto the monster, piercing its skin and injuring it. However, this was not enough to stop it, and when the monster charged at him, Izuku climbed onto one of the strings while pulling out curved blades from his pockets, throwing them at the monster. When the tension of the string Izuku was on lost its strength, he fell directly onto the monster. He generated a katana and stabbed it into the creature's head, ending the threat. "No," murmured the incredulous portal man, whom Izuku saw in an alley. "It's your turn," Izuku said, running towards the portal man, who tried to escape but Izuku passed through him. Izuku emerged from the portal man, holding a knife as he created it at great speed and managed to stab the man with hands in the side, causing him to grunt in pain and grab the green-haired boy's wrist. "Bastard," protested the green-haired boy as he generated blades, which emerged from his wrist, making the man with hands scream and let go. He quickly created a simple needle, which he plunged into the man with hands' eye. "Shigaraki Tomura," yelled the portal man, seeing the wounds on his boss's servant, but when he tried to approach Izuku, he fell to the ground because of Kyoka's jack cables/lobes, which were now tangled around his feet. "Heartbeat weak," exclaimed Kyoka before sadistically piercing the connectors into the portal man's legs, making him scream, and his screams intensified as the sound began to travel through his body. Shigaraki could only retreat and try to dodge the iron fists now in the green-haired boy's hands. Occasionally, blades would come out of his boots, making it even more complicated. Now his only escape route was unconscious, and he had to focus on his opponent, who wasn't going to give him any chance to escape. However, he managed to trick him for a moment and run towards the portal man, only for Izuku to throw his trench coat over his head, blocking his vision. Moments later, he received a blow to his back, breaking his spine, causing him to scream. Shigaraki. "Too. Tomura," murmured the portal man, elongating a part of his body to reach his leader's right hand, currently defenseless. To hear him scream in pain when he finally reached him, he could only imagine how bad the poor guy's situation had to be. After the League of Villains attack, the school closed for 2 weeks. Izuku and Kyoka didn't waste that time. They focused on intense physical and kosei training. At first, they thought it'd be easy, combining their martial arts knowledge with their kosei abilities. Izuku seemed to have it easier, but he needed sword skills and martial arts for when he summoned his iron fists. Kyoka urgently needed martial arts skills. They didn't want their parents to pay for martial arts classes, so they asked their classmate Ojiro for help. Ojiro, who had a tail and wore a karate gi as his hero costume, gladly took them to his martial arts training place. Ojiro's dad offered them 3 months of free training in fitness and karate. On Monday, they headed back to UA. "Good morning, Izuku-kun," Kyoka greeted, making Izuku shiver. "Kyoka-chan, please don't sneak up like that," Izuku pleaded, startled. "Sorry," she said, taking his hand and noticing the gray clouds. "Come on, let's hurry. It's about to rain." "Relax, okay?" Izuku said, opening an umbrella for both of them. "I'm almost always ready." "This is perfect. I can be even closer to Izuku," Kyoka thought, lost in his proximity. They arrived at school, wondering who'd teach them. To their surprise, Shota Aizawa, aka Eraserhead, entered. "Aizawa-sensei, you're back early," they exclaimed. "It's not important. What's important is the upcoming battle," he said. "Battle?" the students asked, nervous. "No more villains," Aizawa reassured. "The UA Sports Festival is coming. It's a chance for pro heroes to notice you. You have to shine. First, second, and third-year students will compete separately. Don't worry, we won't pit you against more experienced students." Classes were calm until school ended. Outside, Katsuki clashed with others. "Stop calling people extras," they protested. "We had trouble with a loudmouth," a girl said, introducing herself as Itsuka Kendo, Class 1B President. "I'm Yanagi Reiko, Class 1B Vice President," another girl added, demonstrating a ghost-like pose. "I'm Midoriya Izuku, Class 1A President," Izuku responded. "I'm Jiro Kyoka, Class 1A Vice President," Kyoka said. "Let us know about us. We barely escaped the villain attack," Katsuki said. "Please let us through. I get nervous and aggressive." Some moved aside, while others stayed to hear about the UA incident. Katsuki handled it well. "I thought he'd call them extras and fight them all," Kyoka remarked, feeling relieved as they left for the station. "Yeah, he did. Kyoka-chan, do you think you're ready?" Izuku asked. "I think I'll do okay. I hope," Kyoka replied, feeling nervous about the upcoming challenge. "We have to show everything we've got, Izuku, to impress a good hero." "True," Izuku agreed, smiling. The long-awaited day finally arrived. And they finally understood why they had almost 2 weeks off. There were food stalls, masks of famous heroes, and everything in between. "The third-year students have always been the ones all heroes tend to focus on," said Kamui Woods. "Yes, but this time, it's Class A1, who fought bravely and survived against the League of Villains," said Mount Lady, smiling, a woman with blonde hair and a cream-colored suit, with purple details and a mask. "We're here to protect UA, in case another attack occurs," said Endeavor. "Not to scout for future partners." // Mina sighed, defeated. "I wanted to use my costume. It's done this way to be fair to everyone, regardless of their kosei," said Ojiro. "We enter in 10 minutes, everyone get ready," said Izuku. "Yes, President." They all replied. "Vice President?" the green-haired boy asked. He didn't usually fear anything, but this time, Kyoka sent a chill down his spine, without him understanding why. "Have fun," the violet-haired girl said. "Don't aim to win, just enjoy." "Yes, ma'am," they all said. "Midoriya-san," Shoto approached him. "Yes, Todoroki-san? I hope to face you. I've never heard of a kosei like yours before, and I'd like to see how far I can go against a rival who can attack me both up close and from afar," he said. Izuku nodded. "I hope you go far too." Shoto smiled, and they shook hands. "You too." // "Get ready, media, ladies and gentlemen, heroines, and heroes," said Present Mike. "The UA Sports Festival is about to begin, are you ready?" He cheered as the crowd erupted in cheers. "Here they are, those who have captured the world's attention for the past couple of weeks, Class A1. They appeared, some nervous, Sero, Mina, Ochako - others composed, Shoto and Momo - or angry, Katsuki - others remained calm, Izuku, Kyoka, Tokoyami, Tsuyu. Soon, behind Class A, came B, C, and D, then E, F, and G. Soon, everyone stood before Midnight, who asked Katsuki to say a few words. His short speech turned everyone against Class A1. But the homeroom teacher ignored all that, and on a screen behind her, she showed that the first game would be an obstacle course, in which everyone would compete. This is a qualifying race. Go, run then, little ones. They all lined up at the starting gate and ran when the 3 lights went out, only to find themselves in a very narrow tunnel, where progress was nearly impossible. A large amount of ice emerged from the tunnel. Now Shoto was in the lead, having frozen everything. "Get back here, half and half bastard," yelled Katsuki, flying, thanks to explosions from his hands. "That was too obvious, Todoroki-san," said Momo, creating a long lance. "Woohoo!" were the only words from a fun-loving Kyoka who used sound waves to fly. Izuku had done something a bit stupid. He had created blades under his shoes, as if they were ice skates. Tsuyu leapt into the air. Tokoyami used Dark Shadow to avoid touching the ground. Thanks to the acid coming from holes under her shoes, Mina surfed on Todoroki's ice. "Todoroki," yelled Mineta. "Get ready to suffer my special attack." He tore one of the sticky balls from his head. Gra! But received a blow from a metal claw. "The 0-point robots," shouted all those who had taken the entrance exam. From his chest, the curved handle of what turned out to be a katana emerged. Izuku grasped it lightly, allowing him better movement, before running toward one of the robots, jumping when the robot's arm hit the ground, climbing up the arm to its head. Gyaku no Kyapushin. Reverse decapitation, he fell to the ground, while the robot also fell. The ground around Shoto's right leg began to freeze, then he released an unbelievable amount of ice. He raised his right arm, and ice spikes shot toward one of the robots, piercing its head and chest, while the caterpillar-like treads of the robot froze. With that done, he ran through its legs. If his skin didn't turn as hard as rock, Eijiro would surely have died, but he emerged almost unscathed from under the robot Shoto had toppled. From the same down robot emerged a boy from Class A2, with his skin transformed into steel. "After overcoming the barrier of the Robo Inferno, it will follow a path that will give our competitors a breather," said Present Mike. "But it's just before something even greater, the minefield. These mines obviously won't kill you, but they'll be loud enough to make you wet your pants." Everyone got into position. Is Midoriya doing a romantic number by carrying Jiro Kyoka in his arms? They've teamed up in the first Hero Basic Studies class, which turned out to be combat training, and also in the USJ combat, said Aizawa. "It seems like they've hit it off well, as they both attack from a distance," said All Might, startling Present Mike and Aizawa. "I'm here as an extra commentator, even though nobody asked me." Todoroki is still in the lead, thanks to creating an ice path, but Midoriya is overtaking him, thanks to some kind of grappling gun, and Jiro is floating, thanks to a special frequency in the sound waves, said Aizawa. Todoroki Shonen froze the ground and created a path, while Asui Shoujo seems to be able to sense where the mines are and is advancing calmly but surely, said All Might. "And here comes Bakugo-san, using his explosions to fly," said Present Mike. "Hatsume, from Class 1H, has special boots and has passed the test. And here it is, if you don't want to fall, you'll have to climb the fall." Asui takes the lead, crossing with her arms and legs. Sero uses his bands to cross, like on a zip line. Todoroki froze the rope to slide down it. Jiro is floating over the rope again. Midoriya created a chain with a grappling hook to swing like Tarzan, said Present Mike. Midoriya distracts Asui, Sero, and Todoroki by reflecting sunlight on a knife, and takes the lead in the race, said Aizawa. Midoriya and Jiro are in first and second place respectively, with Asui in third, said Present Mike. According to their finishing positions in the race, each one would receive a bandana with a specific number of points. Izuku finished first and earned 1,000,000 points. Kyoka earned 800 points. Next up was picking bandanas with printed numbers and putting them on, then engaging in human horse races to earn as many points as possible. Izuku would be the horse, and with his weapon creation, Kyoka could hear approaching rivals and use her sound waves against enemies to counterattack or stop them. They were joined by Tokoyami, with 800 points, and Tsuyu, with 510 points. The human horse race was about to begin. And everyone would go after Izuku's group. When that happened, Izuku attacked with metal pellets and rounded tip arrows, Dark Shadow kept opponents at bay, Kyoka's sound waves incapacitated their enemies, and thanks to Tsuyu's tongue, they stole many points. The Midoriya team is now exempt from being robbed due to having more points than necessary, declared Midnight. In that case, Katsuki said, smiling at Eijiro, Mina, and Hanta. "Ribbons, get ready to tie up the stressor from Class B. You know, the blonde idiot with purple eyes." "Let's go," said Mina as they headed toward Monoma's group and the boys from Class B1. As they approached, Mina threw her acid. But Tsuburaba Kosei used his solid air to generate a transparent shield that prevented the acid from reaching them. Hanta threw his ribbons, but Sen lifted his arm, which got caught by the ribbons, then he rotated his arm, causing Hanta to be thrown in that direction. Katsuki leapt off Mina and Eijiro, releasing two explosions, one big to propel himself toward his rivals, and the other small to break Hanta's ribbons. Incredible, shouted a amazed present Mike. With an impressive display and control of his kosei, Katsuki shoots himself towards his rivals, cuts the ribbons holding his teammate, and now he has flown over their heads, stealing 700 points. What did he say? Monoma exclaimed in amazement, seeing Katsuki tying on bandanas worth 400 and 300 points. We won't waste our time with them, roared Monoma as they went in another direction, gaining points and disqualifying another team. But Mineta and Shoji showed great compatibility, and Mineta proved to be a strategist by throwing his spheres on the ground to stick to the feet or bother his rivals, leaving them with spheres on top that hindered their movement. This allowed them to steal bandanas. Thanks to Tsuyu's tongue, who was with them. When Katsuki tried to attack them, they were countered by a team from Class B. But at that moment, Momo's group, Kaminari, and Shoto counterattacked. Shoto froze several rivals, preventing them from moving. Momo covered herself and Shoto with an insulating cloak, while Kaminari electrocuted everyone, and then they stole bandanas back and forth. A moment of rest was granted to those who made it to the next stage. Only 5 teams would advance. That was a big surprise, such a thing had never been seen before. Midoriya Inko, Bakugo Mitsuki, and Masaru, along with Jiro Mika and Kyotoku, had gathered at the Gyro's home to witness the next stage. The combat stage. The first match would be between Izuku versus Monoma. Monoma began laughing, much to Izuku's and everyone else's curiosity. Oh, defeating someone from Class A will be so EA, the blonde had to dodge when several knives were thrown at him. In turn, he had to start dodging shurikens and knives that the green-haired boy began extracting from his pouches. Every time Monoma tried to get closer, he had to retreat because of the thrown weapons. Perfect, this is perfect. He'll get tired soon, and then I can. Smoke bombs fell at Monoma's feet, blinding him. He saw his rival enter the smoke, and a scream from Monoma was heard. Nobody saw how Izuku blocked, punched, and kicked the blonde from Class B before seeing him being expelled from the ring. The winner is Midoriya Izuku, said Present Mike. Good job, Izuku, said Aizawa. Somehow, you knew your opponent's kosei, the copy of kosei upon making contact with the enemy. You injured him to prevent him from moving, blinded him, and threw him out of the ring. The next match was between Hanta and Shoto. I know you're stronger than me, and I probably can't defeat you easily, but... He released his ribbons. I won't give up so easily. He tied Shoto with his ribbons and then moved his body to the right, intending to send the two-tone-haired boy flying. A quick and surprising attack from Hanta, said Present Mike. Do you think that's a good choice for this situation? Shoto not only froze his teammate's ribbon, but also him, Midnight Sensei, and created a huge, almost sharp ice wall. Hanta. See, can you move? Midnight asked. Sorry about that, Shoto said. And no, Hanta said. Hey. Old man. Unfreeze me. I'm working on it, don't worry, Shoto said, unfreezing his teammate. The winner of the second match, with a crushing victory, is Todoroki Shoto, said Present Mike. Blades versus ice, thought Izuku, interested in that match. Izuku, said a female voice to his right. PL please defeat Todoroki, but... Be careful, please. He's very strong. He is. I hope I can defeat him, just like I defeated Monoma, said Izuku, as he received a dish called katsudon, which consisted of a pork cutlet, rice, meat or chicken fillets, onion, and broth. Thank you, Kyoka-chan. You're welcome, she said, sitting beside him and blushing. The battle between Kaminari and Ibara, from Class 1B with vine-like hair, began. Kaminari was excited, but Ibara remained calm. Sheer and proud looks from heroes and citizens alike as she proclaimed that she only came to win, aiming not to harm her opponent or take his life. 3 million volt discharge, shouted Kaminari. Ibara turned and deployed a wall of vines. She sent 4 vines underground, which quickly captured her rival, pulling him away from the ground and gently removing him from the battlefield, to everyone's amazement and Kaminari's disbelief, who couldn't understand how he lost so quickly against the girl. Unfortunately for Tenya, he ended up being cunningly deceived by Hatsume, from the support course, who handed him one of her attachments. Only to receive a beating, thanks to those attachments May had on her, a backpack, curious shoes, and a net launcher pistol. You deceived me, Tenya shouted furiously. I'm sorry. I used you, she said, as if that were the most normal thing in the world. "You're a horrible person," he complained, unable to escape the net, while Mei spun him around like a carpet until she threw him out of bounds. "I hate you." Hatsune advances to the next round, Midnight said, with a drop behind her head. Aoyama Yuga couldn't hold back when he started firing his laser at his opponent, Ashido Mina, who released acid from her feet and began sliding as if she were ice skating, throwing acid spheres, cornering her opponent while she kept dodging him. "We competed in Kosei development tests, remember?" said Mina, smiling, as she slid across the floor, jumped in the air, did a ballet-like spin mid-air, dodging her enemy, and advancing toward him. No. My stomach," Yuga complained, having an intestinal problem. "I told you," were the words of the pink-haired girl as she punched her opponent's chin, leaving him looking up, and then kicking him, damaging the blonde's laser launching equipment and sending him flying out of the ring. Thus, Mina achieved victory. Everyone bet wrong on the next match. They believed Yaoyorozu Momo could defeat Tokoyami. But the bird boy launched a direct and powerful attack with Dark Shadow. Momo barely had time to create a shield, of medium size. She had to focus on protecting herself, taking her time to create her lance. "Yaoyorozu is out of bounds," Midnight shouted, to the surprise of the raven-haired girl, who lowered her gaze. It turned out to be a very fast match and a crushing victory, where the bird boy always had the advantage, thanks to his stand. Thanks to his Kosei. He just had to push his rival and keep her on the defensive the whole time. The next match, Kirishima Eijiro vs Tetsu. Undoubtedly, it would be the closest thing to a good WWE or MMA UFC fight seen in this stage. "Virile and passionate steel, Tetsu, exclaimed Present Mike. "Enthusiastic hardening, Kirishima Eijiro." That was practically the same, thought Eijiro amusedly as he hardened his skin. Tetsu quickly covered his skin with steel. They ran towards each other, with a war cry, and clashed their fists. They moved away from each other. Eijiro threw a kick, which Tetsu covered with his arm. Tetsu threw a kick, which Eijiro stopped by crossing his arms in front of him. Eijiro leaned his torso backward before throwing his right fist. Tetsu hadn't expected to step back, but he did. Following that, he received a kick to the chin, making him step back again, unable to stay on his feet until he swung his left leg backward to regain balance and then quickly threw his right fist, managing to hit Eijiro in the abdomen. Eijiro gritted his teeth and placed his right hand in front of him, and his left hand supported over the other, thus containing Tetsu's next punch, then turned and, leveraging the effect, made him pass over his head, causing him to hit the ground. He held Tetsu's leg when he tried to kick him, made him spin, and sent him flying. But only a few meters, as he recovered and ran towards Eijiro, exchanging agile combos of punches from torso punches to high kicks, even to the head. Eijiro began to step back. He seemed dazed by that last kick. "It's over," he shouted happily, running towards Eijiro, who fell to the ground. Soon, with Tetsu on top of the redhead, he realized the trap. Eijiro had placed his hardened feet against his abdomen to then lift him and use leverage, throwing him out of the battlefield. The winner is Kirishima Eijiro, from Class A1. They waited a moment until the next two competitors entered the combat field. That's not a normal face, from Class 1A, Bakugo Katsuki, from the Hero Course 1A, a calm and self-assured young girl. Uraka Ochako. Ochako lunged at Katsuki, thinking she could dodge a right-arm attack, which tended, usually, to be a straight attack, but Katsuki launched it from below, as if he were doing an uppercut, including a moderate explosion. Ochako flew backward, but she used her gravity to stay in the air and then land. Katsuki released an explosion, but Ochako pushed her gravity, creating a smoke screen. "Don't underestimate me," he said, thinking he saw her coming out of the smoke, only for it to turn out to be his t-shirt. The girl appeared behind him. Ochako began to appear and then disappear, surrounding her rival. Although she was sent flying, she didn't seem to give up, while Katsuki was getting tired. Finally, Ochako showed the plan she formulated. She used the debris from the battlefield to make them float and sent them against him. But Katsuki raised his arms, creating an explosion that turned the debris into smoke, and sent Ochako flying. "The winner is Bakugo Katsuki," said Present Mike. From the Hero Course, 1A, the Sonic Girl, Jiro Kyoka. The purple-haired girl ascended to the battlefield, seeing her rival heading towards her. From Class 1B, a girl with horns, foreign beauty, Pony Tsunotori. Kyoka connected her jack connectors on her elbows while showing the speakers on her forearms, surprising her opponent. The blonde lowered her head and began to shoot horns as if she were a machine gun. Kyoka's sonic waves turned out to be so dense that they stopped the advance of her rival's horns, surprising her. Pony became worried when she saw Kyoka smiling at her. She saw her take a step back and separate her forearms, as if making a triangle missing the horizontal line. Then Pony began to feel sick, dizzy. Thanks to that, Kyoka lunged at her opponent, using punches and kicks, managing to leave her opponent almost out of combat until she pushed her. "The winner is Jiro Kyoka from Class A1, said Present Mike. From Class A1, Fire and Ice in 1, Todoroki Shoto, said, everyone praised. The sinister weapons user, also from Class A1, Midoriya Izuku,